moderator. What does that mean? Grammatically, what's the meaning of moderator? Now, don't tell me somebody that moderates. Beautiful, good. So it's like what I said the other time. If repeated pregnancy is just up there, okay, what goes on from socio-demographic to repeated pregnancy and then to motherhood, okay, or like that. And then of course social media, print media, news media and things like that, they can also serve as moderators. The third bullet, somebody in the front.
Determining the degree to which a variable mediates the relationship between two constructs.
Does that explain itself? All right. And then the last one, investigating the psychometric properties of an important scale. What is the meaning of psychometric? Can we Google it? Psycho is for what word? Psychology. Thank you, because you didn't mention arrow. Psychometric properties of an important scale. Is a scientific discipline.
Concerned with the construction of assessment tools, measurement instruments.
Good. All right. So that makes it well defined now. Methodological contributions. Reduce the potential problems with shared method variance through the use of multiple methods of measurement. Multiple methods of measurement. Methodological contributions. I once sit on a panel that has to do with what they call postgraduate committee of the faculty, and the chairman of the committee looked at a particular work. He was so impressed. The guy was not doing anything new. He was in economics. He was not doing anything new, but the only thing new is the method of achieving a particular thing. Okay, so would you agree with me that what's his name again? This man that carries big Bible now. What's his name? Emefiele. Is he not the one that carries big Bible now? You know what he did was also a kind of method. Devilish method. But it didn't work. It's a policy that didn't work. Alright. Now increase the generalizability of the research through more appropriate sampling procedures. What comes to your mind by that word? Generalizability. Huh? Yeah. Take a small sample, find out what is happening, and then generalize it. Okay? So when you look at 40, and then you generalize it over 300. Now, when we talk about methodology, at the end of the day, we will talk about the increase in the way we generalize our findings. Enhance the construct validity of key measures through the use of refined multiple item measures and or the use of measurement approaches that do not rely on self-reports. It does not rely on self-reports. What are we talking about here? Whatever method we are making use of must be valid. And there's a way of testing validity of a particular method. Okay? Even the instruments that we use, you still have to carry out some validity tests. What do they call it, sir? Validity and reliability. The educations we use test, retest, measurement. Some other people use, is it Cronbach? Oh, I can't remember now. Yes, please.
So this third bullet, how does it apply to the use of qualitative methods?
Qualitative method. Qualitative methods also has their own different methods of analyzing the data. It can be content analysis. You can decide to use thematic way of analyzing it. But because it is the perception of the people, you are not in the position to say they are right or they are wrong, but you are able to, from what they are saying, analyze what you are saying and do some kind of frequency distribution of what they are saying. Not in terms of, not numerically, but when you begin to say, out of about 5 people, 4 people said the same thing, then you generalize that in this community, this is what is happening. It's just like people were telling us, oh, the stream that we drink from is there. And you get to another household. So at the end of the day, you conclude that is this the same stream that they are drinking from? And so if there is any outbreak, you link it to that stream. And if there is any intervention you want to do, it is because of that stream. Am I able to? Why does research matter? Why does research matter?
Although there is no new thing under heaven,
Okay.
there are still problems that requires solutions.
That's right.
We still have some problems in social structures. We still have problems in terms of there are still new things that we can find to make life easier, to improve our well-being generally, and just
How many of us are mothers here? How many of us are mothers with at least 2 children? Did you treat them the same way?
No.
As social science, when we're going to the field and we need information about a particular child, we will mention the name of that child. The mother will remember everything about the birth of that child. Usually I tell my mom, small, they are recording, There was a day my mother said, only Bakuta. And my wife was like, no wonder. The moment you mention that child's name, the mother we don't usually ask fathers, they don't have time. We know ourselves now. Why are you looking at me that way? But the truth actually is that you know each child, what they want, what they don't want. I have 2 boys. One likes party, the other one doesn't like party. So when the first one turned 10, he the party, doesn't want any other thing. And then he invited all his friends. When the other one turned 10, he said, I don't buy me keke, bicycle. Today he doesn't like party. What do I? That's their nature. So, why does research matter? It matters. Why? Because you cannot. Do you remember Panadol? Do you also remember Panadol Extra? Why do you think they did Panadol Extra? After all, Panadol is Panadol, Abi?
From feedback.
Effectiveness from feedbacks. But me as a statistician, I want to test if there's any significant difference in the effectiveness of Panadol and Panadol Extra. For me to now say, okay, Panadol Extra is more effective or less effective, or is not even effective at all. Okay? That's why research is very important. So that we
may also want to find out new ways to solve
a particular problem. Exactly. Now that these are periods of Japa, There is the other one, Sapa. They are becoming terms in demography now. Japa is like migration, isn't it? So, but now it's like there's another term coming up, Sapada. Abi Japada. Oh, Japada. Japada means they are coming back. Abi? But if you look at it 30 years ago, was it like that? Or was it well pronounced? Not this pronounced.
Or maybe it's not being reported before now.
Or well, maybe it's not being reported. That can be another research entirely.
Yes.
Because when you're looking for migration data, it's problematic in this country. It's problematic in this country. Especially most vital registration stuff. So we need research. The first one, the world is changing and new challenges are developing that hamper our well-being. I saw a video where a dog was eating maize. You have not seen it before. The world is changing. Do we all agree to that?
Yes.
And new challenges are developing that hamper our well-being. There's something they call climate change, right? There is environmental issues. So new phenomena, social, political, economic, health, etc. It will lead to new challenges. And then of course we need new solutions. There is this saying in Yoruba, I can't remember now. Ẹni tó bá fojú àná wò kú. Who said that? Who concluded it? It's from where? Oh, Nice is a new generation person now. Yes. Oh. But when you come to new phenomena, look at that arrow down. Research helps us to understand new phenomena. Why are these changes happening now? Why are these changes happening now? And when we have new challenges, it means research helps us to identify new challenges. What are the causes of these challenges? And then research will help us to find solutions. What can be done to help the affected population? So it's all about what? Population. Why? Because we're talking about well-being. Who should benefit from your research? When you ask our graduate students to write recommendations, most of the time you find out that they are writing recommendations based on what they want, not what the findings of the research actually talked about. Government should do this, government should do that, government should do this, government should do that. Sometimes we throw it back to them, go and write something on the basis of your finding. What do you think? This thing we held in PG College, it will get to us. Why are you saying government should do this? You know. So, government will benefit, definitely. In what way will government benefit? When you have carried out your own research and you bring out salient policy issues that can be driven, Professor Fatisi will say policy means politics and science. Because before you can get the policy approved, from the classroom it is science. So, but before you can get the policy approved, you have to play politics. Yeah. Can you imagine? Organizations, programs aimed at development will use your work to fix challenges and fill existing gaps. So organization will now want to sit down on the basis of it. Can we write a proposal for intervention? You, the owner of the work, you may not be found. All right. Research community. Your research should be part of the conversation and contribute to existing knowledge and not repeat it. If you are repeating it, you are not contributing anything. We recently went to Osogbo, took about 3 students there. We wanted them to get used to primary data collection. How do you build rapport with respondents? How do you collect sensitive information? You know, there are some information in which the wife will tell you, if my husband is not around, I can't talk. Or the wife can say, I cannot say anything about this one. No. Especially when you are asking questions that has to do with family planning. You need to be, and then when you ask questions that touches on cultural issues, I can ask you freely, how many children do you have, and you tell me. Okay? But in the core Yoruba people, they will say, no, we don't count the number of children for the owner. And so you now have to build rapport. Kì í ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, a kàn fẹ́ fi until ẹ ṣàkọ mẹ́ta tó ní ẹ̀kọ́ nǹkan bí wọ́n jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. You know. So your research should be part of the conversation. So when we got to Osogbo, we first had to go to Ataja's office, palace, to let him know that we are in town. And he welcomed us very well. One thing the man said, or the Kabiyesi said, was that when you are done with this, please send us your findings. Whatever he wants to do with it. But he asked us to. But we that we went to Osogbo, we know that we want to expose our students to the community. Okay? Of course, the data is also there, can be analyzed and whatever. So, your research should talk about community. Somebody will say, oh, so is that the reason? What then can we do as a community? On and on that way. Who should benefit? Academia. You represent your institution of higher education. As such, your research will boost the university's profile, especially when it is published. Your students, we are always teaching. Your research should encourage the curiosities and improve the skills of your students. Some years back, I used to teach social aspects of family planning. Social aspects. We left the other one for health sciences. Ours deals with social aspect of family planning. That singular course is taken in part 4. And one of our students graduated, and a particular NGO employed him because of that singular course. Not all the mathematics that we taught him, not all the demographic techniques that we taught him, just that theoretical social aspects. You must be known there. What's your expertise? Stephen. Maybe Stephen you call yourself?
Yes.
Now. Okay.
Sexual reproductive health.
Sexual reproductive. What organization do you belong to? Where? Which school? Foyer. Oh, this school of yesterday. Yeah? View. That's great. My brother in glasses. You are the only one in glasses. Health Services Management. You will be known wherever you are. But what brought you here has to do with adolescents, isn't it? So issues about adolescents. And not just adolescents with certain age range. Okay? And so you will now begin to think of what can I do in my different areas that can be linked to adolescents. Research process. What is the research process? I want somebody that uses glasses to read the first bullet.
The research process is a systematic way we go about conceptualizing, collecting, and analyzing data and reporting results.
The second one, another person that is using glasses. Dr. Mrs. The third bullet. To ensure that our results are reliable and valid. So meaning that if you carried out a particular work and you state the process 2, 3, 4 years after, I should be able to follow the same process and get the same results. Except there's something wrong somewhere. Except there's something wrong somewhere. So, all researchers follow the same pragmatic process to ensure that our results are reliable and valid. Now, let's look at this. It looks like a conceptual framework, but it's cyclic in nature. Number 1, originates with a question or problem. That's a process. Followed by, that problem requires a clear articulation of a goal. And it follows a specific plan of procedure. Usually divides the principal problems into more manageable sub-problems which guide the research. For example, you have heard about general objectives and specific objectives. The specific objectives are for you to be able to say something about the general objective. And then number 5, accepts certain critical assumptions, accepting conditions that are necessary for carrying out the research, not hypothesis. They test the question. The beginner researcher is recommended to evaluate each assumption and not to take too much for granted. A very short example. If you are going to make use of a particular statistical technique, you must know the assumption underlining it. Okay? And then requires collection and interpretation of data to answer original research question. And by the time you do that, by the time you go through 1, 2, 3 up to 5, getting to 6, another problem will have emerged. And then you begin again with that new problem. Where do I begin? The first step is to read. Read widely. Read as far back as you can. Read the most recent papers too. So, how many reads? Read, read, and read. Where do I begin? The second step is to identify gaps in the existing literature. Pay particular attention to the limitations and recommendations for future research sessions. This is where the gaps are. For example, if you take a particular project work, if you can just go through the topic of that person and go through areas for further research, that's the gap the guy did not fill in his own work. And that may be a good place to start. And then you start reading about that area. The third step is to read again, to make sure your identified gaps have not been done. What does that mean? Read though, so that oh my God. So that you are not accused of plagiarizing. I think it's about 7 years imprisonment. I can't remember now. A colleague of mine in Usuka was to examine a PhD student as an examiner. And as she was reading, she was like, before, I've read this work before, I've read this work before. Now click on her and call the guy and say, what did you say is your topic of your PhD work? And the person told him, say, in fact, PhD man. That's bad. Yes, sir.
That's the thing happened before you.
Okay.
One of our colleagues, there is somebody's PhD work in UI.
Wow.
And it was published. So I think after some years, the supervisor was reading something on the net and found and was reading and I said, so you tell me this wicked. He published this book that he just used to supervise him without even consulting me.
Wow.
Not called the guy. So he published this book, he didn't put my name. He hasn't read anything. So then he went out, he worked with the woman route in the VC of 4 years ahead.
Wow. Wow.
The staff was sacked.
Wow. Plagiarism is a terrible thing. So please read again, before somebody will come. In fact, the way students now say it, they are so affirmative. This work has not been done before. And they will say it confidently. So how many journals have you read in English? How many have you read in French? How many have you read in some other languages that you now come up and say, it has never been done before? Okay, so again, please read to make sure that your identified gaps have not been done. List these gaps, and as you come across papers that have addressed this, cross it off your list. As you come across more gaps, add this to your list. Decide on which of the remaining gaps you are interested in. Okay? The fourth step is to start thinking about how you will fill the gap by formulating an objective or a hypothesis. Turn the gap into a question, objective, or hypothesis. Okay, number one, reading all the past papers on adolescent HIV. That will lead to populating a literature review matrix. How many of us have heard that word before? Literature review matrix. All right. Highlighting gaps in each paper. Identifying that adolescent HIV related and AIDS mortality has not been done. And then we go to number 3. Doing another review of literature to ensure the topic has not been done. Nowadays, when I want to read or edit a particular paper, I'll just copy the title, Google it. If it brings out anything, that will be the end. Okay? It is expected that when you want to steal, steal very well, or steal methodologically.
You see a lot of steal.
Kò sóhun tó tó lábẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn aṣáájú wa wọ́n ti kọrin àwọn aṣáájú wọn. Àbí? Yes, ma. Yes,
Number
ma'am.
one, as a person.
What did you say?